All right, we are back and we are going to orient our cross-sectional curve here and try a different method of constructing these connectors, and one that might be a little quicker, especially if we know that we're going to try to get a couple of these connectors out of this curve. And first thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to go to leg one. I'm going to start working in that layer. No, I'll stay in main curves, I guess. But what I'm just going to do is I'm going to put some circles down at each of these intersections. And yep, they're going to remain 2. And as you can see, I'm also still working in our original coordinate plane that we placed there to create those curves, just to keep everything nice and clean and perpendicular. And now what I'm going to do is move this guy to this connector layer, move objects to this layer, and I'm going to start working in that layer, and I believe still have one of these groups. Again, I'm just going to orient on perpendicular to curve. Now, I'm just going to show you what it looks like if I don't orient this starting from the top view. So I'm going to click this. Oh, there we go. The center. And come over here and select this line. And you see how it's really skewed like that? And again, that's because the view we're looking in, it's trying to orient this coordinate plane's z-axis perpendicular or tangent to this curve, all right, which is not what we want, right? And I'll show you how to do it properly. We'll come into the top view and we will initiate our orient on curve command, hit that center, go back to our perspective view, move back up here, and we will select this curve, and we're going to come to the end. And you see how that's much better. Again, remember the z-axes we want to be tangent to this curve, So we've got that in the right spot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup it and go through that same process of making a sweep. Sweep one rail, and oops. I want to select this curve to start with, and then select my cross section. Perfect. Sweep. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Oops. What I need to do is select that rail first, then the cross section, and then we can move forward, sweep. And then the nice thing about starting here is I've already got my curves to make a planar surface. Planar curves. And select all those, join them, and then I don't even need to really find the end. I can just come up to solid, cap planar holes, and it makes one big long solid. Let's give it a little time to think. Cool. And now what we can do with our circles already up here, we can just use the wirecut command, right? So I'm going to select this guy, which is now a solid. And it really needs to be a solid. All right. Solid. And you can type in the wirecut, or you can come down to solid editing tools and do wirecut. This guy, both sides on. I'm going to keep all, which means it's going to keep the inner part and the outer part from this cutting curve, this cutting object. Here we go. And it's thinking, and you see now we've got our connector there. This is extra. We can just delete that guy. And we can just keep going down the line and keep doing wire cut. That way we're not doing a whole bunch of sweeps. All we have to do is just do one sweep and then a whole bunch of cuts. Oops. Escape, delete. Now, one downside to this is that we're getting this like little curved edge right here, which, you know, maybe something you like, maybe not. And it's important to think about this because we want to know how it's going to rest on the 3D printer, all right? And for right now, I don't think we're really going to worry about it because these are small parts. We can build some support structure around it. But there's a potential where it could work out better where if you have a flat surface right here, that flat surface is better to adhere to the build plate of your 3D printer. So that is just something to consider when using this option. Another option for cutting these is you don't necessarily have to use a curve or a circle or anything like that. You could use the curve that we've already associated with this object or using the sweep. So I'm going to come up here and change my view to wire viewport. That way, just so I can see that curve. And I'm just going to go back through the wirecut command. What I probably have to do first is select that curve. There we go. And I'm going to split it with this circle. And kind of similar to what I did before. And I'm going to initiate the wire cut, and then I'm going to select cutting curve. And that one we just split. I'm going to hit enter. Oh, didn't like that. So we will try that again with wire cut. Select. Here we go. Select objects to cut. This guy. I'm going to hit enter, and then I can see here I'm going to expand this curve out, and then I've got it on both sides so I can bring it out, and there we go. What we have now is I'm going to come back to shaded view. This is our connector, but you can see how it's also because it's extruded directionally, it's not actually cutting right there. I'm going to leave it just for funsies, just to kind of see what we can do. If we were to print this, what we might want to do is print it. Let's see if I can sort of rotate no, it's just going to be frustrating to try to rotate my view that much. But between this edge and this edge would be the build plate. And this last one, I'm just going to do the same thing again, just a quick and easy one. I will do the wire cut. And there we go. And I can delete this guy and delete this guy. All right. Now I've got all my connectors. Look at that. Easy peasy, right? So in our next videos, what we're going to do is we're going to then discuss orienting, which we don't necessarily need to do. We're actually already on this curve. I kind of jumped ahead of there in my thought, but we're going to add some little support flanges on these connectors, and then we're going to extrude into our spider body. And we will try to wrap up this leg. So please join me for the next video in which we'll talk about some good details that'll be important for your projects. All right, see you soon.